Wonder Twins issue 7, Mark Russell writing with Stephen Byrne on the
Yep.
art.
Yep. So number one, art's still fantastic. Burns consistent throughout. This I don't want to feel like this felt like a what's the word? I don't want to say a holdover or like a it's not like a holding pattern issue because remember this got extended and so it's just supposed to
Yeah.
be 1 through 6. I kind of feel in this one Russell was like, well, I told the story I wanted to next time. Now I have to set up another one, but I need like a bridge issue, and this is very much that bridge issue because it catches you up on what happened in the last arc, and it deals with the fallout that Jaina basically feels guilty for sending her best friend to jail for what Polymath did, and that she's kind of like, well, what's the point anymore? And because they did so well on their mission, Zan and Jaina basically get downgraded from Justice League members to Hall of Justice tour guides, something which Zan loves because that's the type of person he is. But Jaina just kind of feels like her life doesn't have meaning, and so she gets talking to Superman, and and he gives her this kind of pep talk towards the end. But what leads to her getting the pep talk is a hockey team called the Ice Cubes, who is a hockey fan. That's a terrible name for a team. Right? You want the Blades or something. Um, but they end up winning basically the Stanley Cup. And the fans go into a riot because they're so happy. They end up causing all this chaos. While that's going on, the Justice League is out. They have to go deal with this meteor that's going to impact the Earth, and of course, the news reports on it, which then stirs up the people even more from the riot, and so that leaves them to Zan and Jaina as the people to have to deal with this because the Justice League's off world. But there's a Fort McNair, which is a hermetically sealed bunker they go to. So there's this guy that basically his power is that he smells real bad, and his name's Repulso. And they keep him. He's all lonely. Nobody wants to be around him, and they bring him out with gas masks. They hook him up to this crane, and they send him they hang him over the city to disperse the crowd. But because they're all so wound up from the comet and stuff, um, they they end up like throwing stuff at him, and well, no, first they disperse him. I had to go back over it. First they disperse him from the riot, and that all works out well. And then when this comet comes up, that's when they all get whipped up again. So they go to bring him out, but because they're whipped up even more, they start throwing stuff at him, and they end up destroying like the crane that he's on. So he ends up dropping into the crowd. So Zan and Jaina are like, "Oh, this is a job for the Wonder Twins." So they activate, they go, um, but he smells so bad that even Zan in his water form is affected by it. But Jaina, who took the form of like this giant ant, like from them, they don't have an olfactory system, right?
Hmm.
There's different, so she can get close to him, and she ends up saving Repulso. And then that's where Superman and the Justice League show up, and it's the Trinity, it's Wonder Woman and Batman, and they show up and it's like, guys, what are you doing? And this guy confronts them, and he's like, well, no, you guys left us when when a meteor was going to strike, and to fend for ourselves. What did you expect? And Superman's like, dude, where do you think we went? This happens all the time. The news just doesn't report on it. The reason that we haven't been taken out by meteor strikes more is because of the Justice League. And you look around, and this is what you do. And so that calms them down, and this is where Superman gives Jaina the pep talk that she's just like, well, I feel useless because I lost my best friend, and this is supposed to be my reward for doing good. And Superman's like, well, you don't do this because you want to be rewarded. You do it because you feel like you should. Maybe if you feel that way, maybe heroing's not for you. And it cuts to Repulso, who throughout the issue tries to get his handlers to play this. It's called Stratino or Strategno. It's supposed to be like Stratego. And nobody wants to play with him. And so after the stirring speech from Superman, that it says he tells her, It's only when life is wrecking you and nothing is going the way it should that the universe lets you stand on your own 2 feet for a moment and think. And that's where she goes to that fort, and she takes the form of the ant to go play Strategno with Repulso, and to be continued. So, but it was a real nice little bridge issue, and it's Jaina coming into her own as a hero. Because for Zan, he's just like whatever. He's kind of, I don't want to call him a dumb guy, but that's kind of just what he is.
Mm.
And he's just like, yeah, sure, whatever. But it was a really nice, heartfelt issue there with that, and the hockey fans moment really cracked me up because, Wonder Woman's like, why are they doing this? And Superman's kind of like, because they're hockey fans, like that's what they do. They get excited and destroy things. And again, I felt hurt at that moment. So
a lot of relatability for Matt this week, apparently.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, pretty good. It's not the best. Like, it definitely feels like he's gonna build more. Almost like season 2 got picked up and put in production quicker than he was expecting. So, but the burn art doesn't suffer at all. It's all real there. Zan takes the form of a rain cloud. So it's basically just a rain cloud with his face on it. And he's even complaining about the smell. He's like, I didn't know I would still be able to smell stuff as a cloud. So, but yeah, it's very good. I'm gonna give it an 8. It was that good.